Good morning, everyone. This is Sue Frost. Welcome to the Sacramento Regional County Sanitation District, Sacramento Area Sewer District, Sacramento County Sanitation District's Financing Authority. Today's date is January 13, 2021, and this meeting is hereby called to order. At this time, I will ask our clerk if she will take the roll and establish quorum, please.
Good morning, Member Bruins. Member Harris. Member, thank you. Member Howell. Member Hume.
Here.
Kennedy.
Here.
Loloi. Singh Allen.
Here.
Gatewood.
Here.
Natoli. Orozco.
Here.
Desmond.
Here.
Cerna.
Here.
Valenzuela.
Here.
Vang.
Here.
Villegas.
Present.
And Frost.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Okay, and I'm going to invite my colleague and supervisor, Rich Desmond, to, if you would mind, leading us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Rich. And I heard a lot of new voices. I'm going to look forward to our meeting today and welcoming everyone. At this time, if the clerk would please read the video statement.
This meeting of the Sacramento Regional County Sanitation and Sacramento Area Sewer Districts is being recorded and will be broadcast on Sunday, January 17th at 6 p.m. on Metro Cable 14, the Local Government Affairs channel on the Comcast, Consolidated Communications, and AT&T Uverse cable systems. The meeting is closed captioned for our hearing impaired viewers. In accordance with the Government Code 54952.3, compensation for meeting of these legislative bodies is required to be verbally disclosed. The amount of $100 will be paid for each member participating today as a member of the Sacramento Regional County Sanitation District, and the amount of $100 will be paid for each board member participating today as a member of the Sacramento Area Sewer District. Compensation for Sacramento County supervisors and City of Sacramento council members is paid to the county and city respectively to partially offset the cost of those governments. Compensation for each board member is delivered to the individuals.
In compliance with the directives of the county, state, and Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, this meeting is live streamed and closed captioned to the public. Temporary procedures are subject to change pursuant to guidelines related to social distancing and minimizing person-to-person contact. To make a verbal comment at today's meeting, dial 916-875-2500 and follow the prompts to be placed in a queue for a specific agenda item or off-agenda matter. When I open the public meeting for a specific agenda item or off-agenda matter, you will be transferred from the queue into the meeting to make a verbal comment. Written comments are also accepted. Please send your email comment to boardclerk@saccounty.net. Your comment will be routed to the board and filed in the record. And at this time, we'll proceed with our Section 1 timed matters for Sacramento Regional County Sanitation District and Sacramento Area Sewer District. And if the clerk will read the first item, please.
Introduction of new board members.
Good morning, Chair.
Good morning, Prabhakar.
Members of the board, Happy New Year. Normally, this time of the year, when we have new members, if we have a physical attendance, you'll all be introducing yourselves, and I wouldn't have to do this. But since we are doing remote meetings, that I'm going to just spend a couple of minutes to introduce new members. And also, before I do that, for the benefit of the new members, as you have read, Chair, that there are 3 boards that are convening here. Sacramento Regional County Sanitation District, Sacramento Area Sewer District, and from time to time, Sacramento County Sanitation District Financing Authority. Just for the benefit of the new members, Sacramento Area Sewer District collects sewage from homes, from the unincorporated area of the county, plus all the cities within the county other than one half of the city of Sacramento and most of the city of Folsom. Of course, it does not collect from Galt or Ileton, but in the general area of the Sacramento. Roughly 1.2 million people that it serves. It collects sewage from homes and brings in and delivers to regional sand. Regional sand is what you will consider as a wholesaler. It has large pipes, and it takes the sewage down to wastewater treatment plant in Elk Grove and treats it and disposes of it. Regional sand has 17-member board, and a subset of 10 serve on the SASD board. All 17 serve on the financing authority. The financing authority essentially exists for the purpose of issuing and managing the debt for both districts. So those are the functions of the three districts. And so as I introduce new members, and I'll also say which one is serving on what and so forth. So also, at least in my memory, and also certainly in my time in this chair, I have not seen as many new members as there are this time. We have 6 new members, potentially more. So I'll go with the county. Supervisor Rich Desmond is a new member to the board. He's going to be serving on all 3 of them in his role as a supervisor. And then the next is City of Elk Grove. We have Mayor Bobby Singh Allen. She's going to be serving as a regional sand board member, and she's also alternate for the Sacramento Area Sewer District behind Director Hume, who is also the member of both regional sand and SASD. And for City of Rancho Cordova, Mayor Garrett Gatewood has been and is the alternate member. The city has not finalized their roster of appointments, and they'll do so at the end of this month. So we may have a change depending on how the city makes that appointment. But Mayor Gatewood is on the phone, and he serves on both the Regional Sand and the SASD board, as well as the Financing Authority. City of Sacramento, we have 3 new members. Council member Katie Valenzuela, she's on the Regional Sand Board, and so is Councilman Sean Loloe. He's on the Regional Sand Board, and Council member Mai Vang, she is serving on both the Regional Sand and the SASD boards. The other council member that is from the city is Jeff Harris, and he continues as a board member. We do not have alternates for either the Regional Sand or the SASD from the city at this point. So that's the roundup of all the new members. And again, I want to thank all the new members for willing to serve on this board, and I appreciate your time.
Yes, and I would like to also add, welcome to all the new members. I'm disappointed that I'm here and you're there over the phone, and I can't see your face and connect the face and get to know you, but I'm sure over time we'll have that connection, and we all look forward to working with you. I want you to know that Regional Sanitation is the best board to be on. Everybody loves this board because they manage their money really well. They manage their projects well. It's just one of those fun boards that you get things done, and it seems like very often a happy ending because they have such an amazing team behind us doing all the work. So welcome, and we'll look forward to working with all of you. And so at this time, we will move on to the next item, please.
Sanitation District and Sacramento Area Sewer District separate matters. Election of chair and vice chair for the Sacramento Regional County Sanitation District and the Sacramento Area Sewer District boards.
Again, good morning. This is the meeting where the chair and vice chair positions rotate. And before I introduce the discussion, I want to thank Chair Sue Frost for her service last year under difficult terms. And she has done a marvelous job in making sure the board is run properly and things done. So I want to thank you for your service.
Thank you, Prabhakar. You're very kind.
So the way, just to also for the benefit of the new members, the way the chair and vice chair appointments go, they're rotated between the county and the city members, alternate years. So 1 year, the county member is a chair, and the city member is the vice chair, and then the vice chair becomes chair, and so forth. The current assignment is Director Frost, or Chair Frost is the chair, and Director Howell is the vice chair from City of Folsom. So in the tradition that Director Howell will become chair this year, then the county side of it is, when I would look through the roster, this year would have been the term of Director Peters, who retired. So I have spoken with Supervisor Desmond, who graciously agreed to be considered for the vice chair. So my suggestion is for Director Howell take the chair role, and Director Desmond to take the vice chair role. That's my recommendation, but I'm going to leave to the chair and others to have the comment.
I would like to take the liberty of nominating Carrie Howell for chair. And I think, should we just go ahead and do chair first and then do vice chair, or do we need 2 votes, or can we do this in one?
You can incorporate it into one.
One vote is fine.
Okay, I'll nominate Carrie Howell for chair and Director Desmond for vice chair.
And I would second the motion.
I'll second that.
Supervisor Natoli made it first, so thank you, whoever that was on the phone.
Director Harris.
Director Harris, thank you.
You can get them. You can get one.
So we have a motion and a second, and if the clerk will please call the roll call vote.
Member Bruins? Member Harris?
Aye.
Member Howell?
Yes.
Member Hume?
Aye.
Kennedy?
Aye.
Loloi? Singh Allen?
Yes.
Gatewood?
Aye.
Natoli?
Aye.
Orozco?
Aye.
Desmond?
Aye.
Cerna?
Aye.
Valenzuela?
Yes.
Vang?
Yes.
Villegas?
Yes.
And Frost.
Aye.
And that's a unanimous vote of the members present.
Okay, great. And at this time, I'll hand the gavel over to our new chair, Director Howell. Thank you, everyone. It's been an honor and a privilege to serve as chair, and I look forward to another great year with Director Howell at the helm.
Speech is fun. Okay, we can move on to the next item.
Next item, acting as your Sacramento Regional County Sanitation District and Sacramento Area Sewer District separate matters. Item number 3, amendments to the master interagency agreement between Sacramento Regional County Sanitation District and its contributing agencies.
Good morning, Chair, again. Before Christoph makes his presentation, let me just tee this up a little bit. Background. Again, also, it's because we have a lot of new members. Regional SAN was formed in 1973, and the Sacramento Area Sewer District was formed in 1978. There were predecessor, smaller sewer districts that were all merged under the federal grant program. And at the time, we have received one of the largest, if not the largest, grants in the nation, close to $500 million to build the regional sewer system. When it was formed, the signatories were the City of Sacramento, City of Folsom, the 2 incorporated cities at this time in the region, and the County of Sacramento, Sacramento Area Sewer District, and Regional SAN. Those were the signatories. There's an agreement that essentially defined the operational maintenance, ownership responsibilities for the assets. The county became the signatory largely because there's a provision in the agreement, it's a one line, that establishes the staffing relationship. Again, those are the new members that are not aware of how the districts are staffed. The Regional SAN and SASD are independent sewer districts, but they're staffed by the County of Sacramento. So that's how the Master Interagency Agreement was developed in 1973. And it was amended numerous times from that time with the last amendment in 1996. The current agreement is set to expire in 2024. We started working on the amendment a couple of years ago for two main reasons, probably two or three main reasons. The first and foremost is when the last amendment was done in 1996, it was set to expire in 2024 to coincide with the debt that the districts held at the time. Because the Master Interagency Agreement is an agreement that binds the regional SAN to the contributing agencies, meaning in terms of financial responsibilities and so forth. So our bondholders would look at as essentially as a surety that the regional SAN is a good debt, good risk. But since that time, we have done a lot of projects, and our debt, we have issued a lot more debt, and the sunsetting of the debt is now into 2030s and 2040s and so forth. So the rating agencies, which we go to every year to get our rating, they have been asking us when we would be extending this agreement to get some sense of surety for them that we're continuing to have this relationship for the long term, because we're in the market issuing new debt or refinancing the existing debt. So that's one of the main reasons to look at the amendment. The second one is the way that the agreement is structured. The regional SAN's revenue collection is entirely the responsibility of the contributing agencies, meaning that regional SAN does not pay anything to the contributing agencies for collecting its revenue, the rates. Or regional SAN does not have any responsibility for the bad debt. And especially when there's a downturn, which we had in a Great Recession and even to some degree recently, these contributing agencies, where they do not have the reserves, they are in a financial strain because they have to pay the regional SAN up front to essentially then go collect the revenue and eat whatever that isn't collected. So we've been approached by the contributing agencies asking for some relief. So the only way we could do that is through an amendment and to look at that. And that's what started a couple of years ago. And it's a long process. We have worked with the contributing agencies, and essentially we arrived at highlights of changes to the Master Interagency Agreement. And so Christophe will describe what those are. And then what happens is later, when all the contributing agencies have approved this, we'll bring back for our boards to finally approve this, probably in April or so. With that, I'm going to let Christophe kind of walk you through the major changes to the contributing to the agreement.
All right. Good morning, Chair and board members, and welcome to the new board members, both here and on the phone. My name is Christophe Dobson. I'm the Director of Policy and Planning for Regional SAN and SASD. And I'm going to walk through the proposed changes, the summary of the changes, and those are in attachment A of the board packet. It's just a 2-page board packet there. The second page is the bullet points of the major changes. So the first one is to incorporate the City of West Sacramento into the Master Interagency Agreement. Right now, they're covered under a wastewater services agreement. And in that agreement, we talked about the future when the Master Interagency Agreement was going to be updated next, that we would incorporate them in as a contributing agency. So now is that time. The second item is the term of the agreement. Prabhakar already touched on that. We are extending it, or proposing to extend it out to a 50-year term. That's the maximum legal allowable term. And the purpose of that is to get that surety for the bond rating agencies. So we are extending it to 50 years, but at the same time, there was also some concerns from the contributing agencies that that's an awful long time to be locked into an agreement. So we've added the opportunity to update every 5 years, so that we can come back and say, hey, are there any changes that are proposed? If the contributing agency wants to make some changes, we would get together and see if that was acceptable to the other parties, and then we could bring forward an amendment to make those changes if all parties were agreeable. The next item is on sewer rate collection. Prabhakar touched on it, and just I think it's helpful to reinforce this a little bit with an example. Right now, as an example, you could have a hypothetical customer that owes $100 of rates to Regional San. Right now, the contributing agency would do the billing for that $100, and let's say that it costs, say, $3 on the contributing agency's part to collect that. So they have to generate the bills, they have a billing system, they have some staffing, they have to have postage, that sort of thing. So they're going to spend $3. Now let's say that the customer doesn't pay all 100. Let's say they pay $90. So right now, the way the agreement is set up, is that customer only pays $90. The contributing agency still has to pay Regional San the full 100 because that's what they owed. In addition, they're also absorbing that $3 cost that they have for doing the billing. And all that we're proposing to change then is that instead, the contributing agency would just pay the $90 to Regional San. They would make a good faith effort to collect that bad debt, but ultimately, if they only got $90, then they would only pay $90 back to Regional San. And Regional San would reimburse them the $3 cost for their billing. So essentially, it's maybe slightly more complicated than that. We're actually going to establish a standard rate to reimburse so that all the contributing agencies are treated equally, but it will be something close to that $3 number that they're spending.
Madam Chair, I have a question.
So that's how the billing would work going
I have a
forward.
question. Christoph, if I could ask you just on that point, this is member Natoli for those on the phone. But the contributing agencies have, by virtue of the municipalities as well as the counties, have the ability to lien. Does Regional San then, and will you still have that same relationship with the assessor or the tax collector's office to then do that? Because again, what you described is that there certainly could be a gap in the loss, but it is recoverable, including with interest. The agencies have the ability to lien that. I mean, it's not preferable to work with your customers, but I mean, each year we see what goes on the rolls for delinquent accounts, not only in this utility but other utilities, and all the cities have their own, have their utility services. So does Regional San have the same authority, and does that, because those costs, as you talked about, it may be lost initially, but they are recoverable. Sometimes with some delay, it could be years delay for some very delinquent accounts. But I'm curious about how this will work out in the agreement.
So the authority doesn't change. So we would, the mechanics would still be the same. So we bring forward an item where SASD transfers those onto the tax roll through the county. So those processes would continue the same. It's just that ultimately there is still a small amount that is truly unrecoverable, and that is the amount that wouldn't be transferred back to Regional San.
Okay, so that's the portion. But when you say small amount, you say approximately $1 million a year in your summary here. That's not a very small amount.
No, so the $1 million is how much Regional San would be reimbursing roughly on a total basis to all the contributing agencies for their cost to do the billing. That's what the $1 million is.
Okay, so what's the estimated small portion then that Regional San will eat and the contributing agency won't, the $3 or whatever it is?
I don't have that. Do you have an estimate?
It's estimated probably in $100,000 to $200,000 range. It's an estimate at this point.
Okay.
It's truly uncollectible because, like you said, we transfer that and we get the money back, and there's penalties and things like that are associated with it. Largely, I think the two big issues are, one,
and the postage to send the bills out.
That's number one. That's main issue. The second issue is especially, for example, City of Sacramento and Sacramento Sewer District. Mm-hmm. So Sacramento Sewer District, when it liens, it's got about $12 million when it liens because that's uncollected.
Right.
Roughly $8 million of the $12 million is Regional San. So you have City of Sacramento has to do the same thing on its own, but a smaller amount. the thinking is that they are fronting that money to regional sand, where we don't have the reserves, whereas the regional sand, who's in a better position to absorb these for the time being until you get collected. So that's how we're trying to help them out. Ultimately, you're right that the actual loss, the main cost is the cost of billing, that which I think is fair to share because we've never shared with the agencies. That's less than 1/4 of regional sand's revenue.
Okay.
And also a small amount that may ultimately will never be collected. So those are the two things. But the bigger relief for the contributing agencies is not the one. It's saving in sharing in cost, collection. The second is don't have to upfront to regional sand when you do not have the revenue to upfront, which is what's required today.
So regional sand will carry the carry the burden and
that's right. Ultimately, the contributing agencies will still collect the revenue on behalf of regional sand, but the regional sand will carry that burden on the back end until it gets there.
All right. Thank you, Metro. Thanks.
All right. Very good. Next item is what we call I&I, which is infiltration inflow, and that's just extra water that gets into the sanitary sewer system. And when that happens, it can cause a lot of problems because it creates flows that are several times greater than the standard flow in the sewer system. So that can either cause overflows from pipelines or pump stations, or can overwhelm the capacity out at the plant as well. So,
Christoph, can we just add to that it's a phenomenon that happens where there's problems with pipe joints, and it typically takes place in the wintertime when it's raining.
Correct. So most of the time, you can get groundwater infiltration, but most of what you see is when it's really bad, really wet weather in the winter, that's when we get the really high flows at the plant. And so what you find is that there is a sweet spot. If you try to remove every drop of that water, it's very costly. But there is a place where you can get more cost-effective removal of that water. Because if you don't remove the water, you have to building larger facilities, either at the plant or out in the collection system. And you also have additional treatment costs because now you're treating all of this water as well. So the idea in the past, it's simply said in the MIA that the contributing agencies had to remove what is called excessive I&I. That was not defined. So what we're proposing to do now is to do a collaborative study between Regional SAN and the contributing agencies. Regional SAN is paying for the study. That study will identify the areas where the I&I is greatest. It will also develop policy around how we define what is excessive, with the idea being that if we look at this holistically from a regional perspective, we can identify those projects that are cost effective and then develop an appropriate cost share and move forward so that some of the projects can get done that, kind of the bigger bang for your buck projects. So that's the approach.
Hal, I have a question.
Yeah.
Yes.
Christoph, this is Jeff Harris. How does this affect our combined sewer system? Do you consider that stormwater inflow I&I, or is the combined sewer system more or less grandfathered into the equation?
The latter, yes. So we're treating that separately. That's just a unique situation. The storm drain system in the city of Sacramento that is combined will continue, and that is not what we're talking about when we're talking about addressing I&I.
Okay,
it's
thank you,
the separate
Christoph.
system. Yep.
It's largely older neighborhoods, though.
There's generally more I&I in older neighborhoods, absolutely.
It could be where soil types are different, and maybe in some of the newer areas where you've had some shift in some of the pipes over time. So
you can have a variety of different ways that water gets into the system, too. All right, the next topic is, again, Prabhakar briefly touched on it, the personnel, the staffing relationship between the county and the district. What we're proposing to do is we're saying really this agreement is about the relationship between the contributing agencies that run their own sewer system and Regional SAN. And the staffing issue is kind of a separate issue. And so we're proposing to whatever staffing relationship we continue in the future, that be covered under a separate agreement. So the idea is that that in June of 2024, when the MIA currently expires in June of 2024, that's when the county relationship within this MIA would sunset. We would continue to work on a separate agreement between now and 2024 to cover those, whatever aspects of that personnel relationship.
Madam Chair, question. So I know there's been some discussions over a number of years on this. So what's the status of the negotiations, discussions, however you want to characterize them?
So as some of the board members know, that we have formed a subcommittee of the board, and we have the subcommittee has met a few times, and we have developed guiding principles to guide us in terms of developing the future agreement. We have provided that to the county side almost 8 or 9 months ago, and during this course, as the subcommittee met and made changes or recommendations to the changes, what the plan is to bring those guiding principles to this board, probably in March timeframe, to get a blessing from this board, so that we can use those as a basis to establish the future relationship with the districts. There's certainly areas. The main thing is that to the Master Interagency Agreement, which is today, there's really only one sentence in there. All it says is the county shall provide staff and the district shall pay. There's no expectation in terms of the quality of service, in terms of metrics, the costs, and any of that. So the current agreement is not really a place for those kinds of things to be established, and that's the reason why we want to use these guiding principles to set the future agreements on a go-forward basis. And for that, it's like Christoph said, it's got about 3 years to do that. And that's what's going on.
Director Frost.
Prabhakar, I think there was some concern regarding how you separate that once you have it all together, the pensions, and yeah. I think that it was complicated. Can you update us on how?
We'll do that. It's funny you bring up is that we just asked the pension to look at that in case if the cost is actually it's same. If anything, it's what they came back is if the districts were to be a separate employer but still participate in the SCRS retirement system, the county retirement system, which it can do that because you have a number of independent districts that are still part of the county retirement system, like courts and things like that. They looked at actuarially and said probably it's about $100,000 less if the districts were to be. It's a small percentage. It doesn't make or break. It doesn't make a decision one way or another. So we will look at all of them, but that's what we're going to do over the next 3-year period as we establish, to say, these are the services the county will continue to provide, these are the services, that the district will get separately, something like that, and bring back to the board so that the board looks at it in totality.
It might be good for us to have a look at the bigger perspective regarding how other districts, because I know you and I have had conversations around other districts, how they manage it.
It's definitely a point that you brought up is just for the interest of the other members, there is no other sanitation district in California that has this type of relationship. They all have their own staff. They all have, they manage their own staff. That's how they're formed. We know of no sanitation district in California that's kind of relationship that exists with the district.
Perhaps I'll just give the overall summary. A big part of this discussion happened when certain county employees wanted the county to take over operation of the districts. That is no longer on the table.
Again,
for those of us that know the backstory.
Yeah. Again, it's we have some time to kind of work through these things. It's I think the important thing for the board to know is it's a status quo. We have the relationship. We need to continue the relationship as we work through these issues. And I think in the end, we'll come to agreements that are beneficial for both parties, and then move forward. That's how I would expect to see happen.
Could I just offer a suggestion, and maybe you've already done this, but if you intend to bring this to us in March, this board, it may be a good idea, Prabhakar, to meet with our acting county executive, Ann Edwards, in between today and then. I think it would be important for, again, obviously there are staff in place that have been, party to the ongoing discussions over a number of years now, but I think it would be important for her to...
I have already met with her.
Okay.
I had an initial briefing with her in advance of bringing this item here.
Okay.
And I also touched upon some high-level issues. But sure, there's a lot more to unpack in this, and I will continue to engage with her and her staff.
Yeah, Prabhakar and I had a conversation about that.
And I also have sent this to Anne and Steve Hartwig, this letter and the attachment before it came here.
Great, very good. Thank you very much.
All right, next item, the MIA, I talked about the 50-year time frame, extending it out, also the 5-year kind of review to make sure there's no items to address. In addition, we have built in a little bit more flexibility in that there's a few sections, 3 of them, that we have identified that are more technical in nature that they would be allowed to be approved, or changed, amended by approval of the district engineer, and then the district engineer's counterparts at that same level at the different contributing agencies. So like a utilities director or something like that. So those 3 sections are, the numbers are 8, 29, and 38, but 8 is procedures for collection of rates. 29 is operation of the City of Sacramento combined flow facilities, and then 38 is the section on I&I, and that's the one that we're thinking there probably will be some amendments after we get through that study. So those are the items that we thought might help to have that brought down to a lower level. It is a challenge to get this through all of the city councils and board. All of those have to get approval, and that's a pretty lengthy process. Which brings me really to the last topic. I will mention the only other item on there is just that there have been quite a few sections that have been deleted, and they're really just because they aren't relevant anymore. It's kind of nice actually to be able to clean up a document and make it a little bit shorter. Usually these documents keep getting bigger, but...
Christoph, what was the Folsom Interceptor section? Was that about FE3?
It's the section that's now abandoned. It's now abandoned. It's an abandoned facility, so it's not. It doesn't need to be.
Okay, the one that was replaced along Folsom Boulevard.
Yeah, it goes Folsom Boulevard and crosses where the freeway crosses Folsom Boulevard.
Yep.
That's the end. That's been abandoned. Yeah.
Okay, because there used to be a basin there that the city was using, and then this goes back a number of directors ago that the district wanted to use that as a chlorination facility, and it's since been demolished.
Yep.
Okay.
So
thanks.
That's just an example. So that's it for the MIA. Just wanted to mention then that the next step in the process, or steps, we have a draft MIA. We've been working with the contributing agencies, and really it's at the last steps. The legal counsels are reviewing, and the contributing agencies are scheduling getting their ducks in a row, essentially, to move through either any committees that they have to go through or straight to their city council. And we're hoping to bring something back in the April timeframe to this board, having had all of the contributing agencies already approved, except for SASD, which we would bring at the same time. So that's the schedule. That's what we're thinking. And with that, I'd answer any other questions.
Any questions? Any questions from the folks on the phone? Good job, Christoph.
All right, thank you.
That moves us to our next item.
Next item is the Sacramento Regional County Sanitation District and Sacramento Area Sewer District Separate Matters Public Comment. And we do not have any public comments. No one is waiting to make a public comment.
Okay.
Okay.
Which case?
Next item is Sacramento Regional County Sanitation District Consent Matters, items 5 and 6.
Do we have anybody that has any questions about items 5 or 6? We have a
This is
motion.
Jeannie. I move approval of consent.
So okay, Jeannie, you get the motion.
Bruin,
So do you want to
yeah.
be a second?
Yeah. Madam Chair, just because the item's here, I have no problem on the consent. I just wanted to, on the harvest water project, could we schedule that for an update to our board so we know? I know there's been a lot of work. You've been looking at some of the costs associated, but
Definitely. It's timely, and we just, internally, we just did a 10-year financial projection.
Okay.
With some added costs to it, so we'll bring back an update to the board separate from the financial projections.
Because I know you've done a lot of good work with folks. I've talked with some folks out there, and then I think as the financial considerations got into it, some of the timing became questionable for some folks. And I think, we built a good body of support out there.
Yes.
I just
I think,
sure we
I think
capture
it's
that
definitely still a project to pursue.
Yeah.
There are things obviously your board needs to hear
Yeah.
the changes and also provide some guidance and whatnot.
And the RFP went out, yesterday?
It was out actually for the I believe one segment was already there.
Okay.
There may be a newer one that went out yesterday.
Okay.
But certainly there's a couple of segments. The pump station that we are designing separately, and there's also two sections of pipelines, the two major sections of pipelines. I think the RFP is out on the street.
Could you send the RFP? Maybe you sent it to us. I didn't see that. So could you send us a copy of that, Prabhakar, the RFP? Yeah.
Sure.
If you could.
Yeah, I will send both of you, both those RFPs.
Okay, good. And I think certainly, I know Director, Hume is saying to Alan, again, because it emanates from the city of Elk Grove. Obviously, it's an incorporated area in large part to serve, but I just think it's important for us on the RFP, because if you're moving forward, I wasn't.
Yes, we're making every effort to move forward. We're looking for new monies, where we've got some sources, but still, so we'll bring the update, and also we'll send you the two RFPs. The RFPs, one is, like I said, is for the large pump station that we need to build on the property side, on our plant property, and also the RFP for the large pipelines, the 66-inch, and there's I think 30 or 24 or 30-inch pipeline. There's two segments. Okay. So for those, the RFPs are out.
Those are the transmission mains?
That's correct.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, we'll send you that.
Okay.
And again, just for historical perspective for the newer folks on this board, this is basically, I didn't realize that it got a new name, that it was the Harvest Water Project, but this is a project that's basically been kind of it was on the front burner a long time ago, then it slipped to the back burner when the city of Sacramento had no choice but to remove their financing
Good point.
It's something that's been in the works for a very, very long time, and it's a really good project.
Yeah, well, it's important for a lot of reasons, and I think from the standpoint of groundwater sustainability, but also use of recycled water, keeping those waters that are generated and treated here in our county for useful purposes, including what's on today's agenda, which is to support the efforts with the Consumers Preserve and the Wildlife Refuge. And there's a lot of elements here, including agriculture and recycled water. So anyway,
Don and I have been here a really long time.
Hopefully you're long enough to see this project to completion. So
is that why you wanted the RFP, or you bid on it?
Yeah, see what the timing is.
I will, this is Director Hume, I'll second that desire. I'd like to see this finally actually come to be.
When's you get that ribbon cutting scheduled? Okay.
Groundbreaking, anyway.
Okay, the clerk would call the roll, please.
Member Bruins?
Aye.
And I'm sorry, that was a motion by Member Frost, or
No, it was
Member
Bruin
Bruins, and
and
seconded by
Frost.
Member Frost. Member Harris?
Aye.
Howell?
Yes.
Hume?
Aye.
Kennedy?
Aye.
Loloe? Singh Allen? Singh Allen?
Aye.
Gatewood?
Yes.
Natoli?
Aye.
Orozco?
Aye.
Desmond?
Aye.
Cerna?
Aye.
Valenzuela?
Yes.
Vang?
Yes.
Villegas?
Aye.
And Frost.
Yes.
And the motion passes with those members present.
Madam Clerk, Madam
Yes.
Chair, I have a request. I need to step out here in another 10 minutes to have a medical appointment for my
Okay.
wife. So what I would like is, if you don't mind.
I think if we go quickly, we're going to be.
No,
get you
let's
out
go
of
to
here when you
8
need
and
to be.
9, and then we can come back to 7. Christoph will continue
right.
with the steps, if you don't mind.
Acting as your Sacramento Regional County Sanitation District and Sacramento Area Sewer District, District Consent Matters, items 8 and 9.
Do you have any questions? We have a motion by
Bruins,
Frost.
I move acceptance, approval of the consent matters 8 and 9.
We have a motion by Frost. and a
8
second by
is a
Bruins.
consent matter, 9 is just a, update, so 8.
Oh, yeah, right.
Yeah.
8.
That's right.
Okay, the clerk would call the roll, please.
Yes. Member Bruins?
Aye.
Member Harris?
Aye.
Howell?
Yes.
Hume?
Aye.
Kennedy?
Aye.
Loloe? Singh Allen?
Aye.
Gatewood? Natoli?
Aye.
Orozco?
Aye.
Desmond?
Aye.
Cerna?
Aye.
Valenzuela?
Yes.
Vang?
Yes.
Villegas?
Aye.
And Frost.
Aye.
And the vote, it's a unanimous vote with those members present. And that was a motion by Member Frost, seconded by Member Bruins?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. And we're back
Move
to item 7.
Item 9, just I have a couple of things that I wanted to mention. We will have one meeting in February. We don't know if it's the first or the second, most likely the first meeting in February. For the new members, our meetings are the second Wednesdays and the fourth Wednesdays of the month. Typically, we only are needing one a month. Occasionally, we need both, but typically only one. And I will send the calendar out. This was provided to the board in December, but I'll send the calendar out so that you have it. There's a couple of months, I think, because of the conflict with the county meetings, we are pushed to the third week of the month, but at least I'll send that back out to you. The next one is that we will be reaching out to the new members for an orientation with the district staff. Typically we do a field tour, but given our current situation, we'll do a Zoom orientation with the executive team with both districts. And then later in the summer, hopefully late spring and early summer, I would like to invite you for a tour of the treatment plant and the facilities. So that's the second one.
And I highly recommend, especially for the new folks or anybody that has not been to the plant, that's very, very important that you understand the scope of the operation.
And also just to say that we have the largest construction project in the county is going on now. It's a roughly $2 billion upgrade. We're on the tail end of it. And I get amazed every so when I get there to see how much has changed. So I've been with the district coming up 25 years. The last but not least, since I mentioned the 25 years, I am planning to retire at the end of August. And those of you that have been serving on this board, it's no surprise that I plan to leave this year. And I will bring forth an item at the next board meeting to establish a subcommittee to help with the recruitment of my successor, especially if my successor happens to be from outside. I strongly recommend that we have some overlap so that there's a lot going on, especially with the regional SAN and also to some extent with SASD. And I think it would be important to have that overlap, especially if it's somebody from outside. So I will bring an item for your board to establish a subcommittee to help with the recruitment process.
And we should probably do that sooner rather than later.
I'm sorry.
We should do that sooner rather than later.
Yes, actually, next month is formation. Then I want to hear your thoughts, how you want to do it, and then we can go through that process. So that's what I wanted to do.
Okay.
With that, I'm going to let Christoph take over as a chair for the item 7, and I'm going to step out.
Okay.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Sorry I couldn't stay all the way through.
Item number 7 is acting as your Sacramento Regional County Sanitation District separate matters. Recognition of Brian Young and Roger Jones for 25 years of service.
Good morning, Chair and board members. I'm Glenn Bielefeld. I'm the Director of Regional SAN Operations. So I'm pleased to be here to present the recognition of two of our very notable employees for 25 years of service, Brian Young and Roger Jones. I'm going to take a few minutes to read through the recognition letter, and then I'll have a few thoughts of my own. Brian Young is in the audience. I think he'd like to step up and say a few words as well. In 1995, both Brian and Roger began working at the Sacramento Regional Wastewater Treatment Plant as permanent Sacramento County employees. Roger holds an associate degree in journalism and a bachelor's of science degree in environmental resource science from the University of California at Davis. Between 1990 and 1995, Roger worked as a student intern and a contracted natural resource specialist at Regional SAN, and in 1995, Roger was hired as a natural resource specialist. In 2003, Roger promoted to senior natural resource specialist, and he has continuously served Regional SAN in this position since then. He is a certified wildlife biologist by the Wildlife Society, a founding member of the California Native Grassland Association, and a previous board member of the Stone Lake National Wildlife Refuge Association. Brian earned a Bachelor of Science degree in wildlife and fisheries biology from the University of California at Davis in 1992. In 1993, he joined Regional SAN as a contracted natural resource specialist, and in 1995, Brian was hired as a natural resource specialist. In 1998, Brian was promoted to a natural resource supervisor, and he has served Regional SAN in this position since then. Brian is a longtime member and previous board member of the California Native Grassland Association, a California Pest Control Advisor, a member of the Mather Field Scientific Advisory Committee, and a member of the California Society of Ecological Restoration. For the better part of 30 years, Roger and Brian have exemplified Regional SAN's commitment to environmental stewardship through their management of the bufferlands surrounding the regional wastewater treatment plant. Their professional contributions to the scientific fields of wildlife management and conservation ecology, their environmental oversight of capital improvement projects, and through thousands of people that they have inspired through public outreach endeavors. Their hard work and the work of their colleagues contributed to transforming our bufferlands into one of the most biologically diverse and valuable pieces of property in Northern California. Roger, through his excellent photography, captures the beauty of the bufferlands, and glimpses of this beauty can be seen in our annual Bufferlands calendar, which was distributed to you in the past couple of weeks. Regional SAN recommends that your board recognize Brian Young and Roger Jones for their 25 years of dedicated service to Regional SAN and the Sacramento community.
All right.
On a more personal note,
Oddly, I just had a friend call me earlier this week and ask me what the name of the Bufferlands was. And I thought it was an odd question, but she's actually a big bird photographer. And I told her she's not aware of it. She's a planning commissioner actually in the city of Folsom. And I said, oh, you've never seen the calendar? The calendar is like the coolest calendar ever. I haven't gotten mine, so if you guys have any extras and want to send some to Folsom City Hall, I'll be happy to make sure that they get distributed throughout the community because your photography honestly is amazing.
Yeah, Roger does a great job.
But the photography wouldn't be any good if you guys hadn't done such a good job with the Bufferlands. So.
Truly, the region can be just proud of the Bufferlands and how terrific it looks. Mm-hmm. On a very personal note, I've known Roger and Brian for my entire career. When I began at Regional SAN in 1994, I first drove into the facility and it looked like it had been a long unused ranch land or farmland, so it was open space effectively. The wastewater treatment plant is in the middle of this 3,000 acre Bufferlands area. Having said that, within my first few years of working there, I recollected that they had planted many, many thousands of trees. And so for the next 25 years, fortunately having worked there, I watched these trees grow. And that whole area is now effectively a forest, an urban forest. So it's astounding. It's a terrific green belt, a wildlife rehabilitation area. I feel often like I'm driving into a park when I come to work every day. On that, I'd like to say, too, that Brian has acted as a lead and an escort to so many Regional SAN staff over the years. He often steps in and helps us through the alphabet soup that is the regulatory agencies and our partners in the region to minimize the impacts to the flora and the fauna in the Bufferlands area, and that's why it continues to improve. Roger Jones we mentioned the calendar before, but I think he's greatly contributed to the esprit de corps at Regional San. I know the employees at Regional San and others, they look forward to the calendar and they very much appreciate it. It's truly a beautiful calendar. On that, I would just simply like to personally commend both Roger and Brian for a career well done so far.
Yeah, Madam Chair?
No more retirements. We only had one announcement today, so.
Yeah.
I think Brian would like to say a few words to the board as well.
Madam Chair, while Brian's coming up, I just comment too that when Glenn was summarizing the buffer lands, I would just call out too both the Nicholas Ranch historic farmhouse and the complex there. I know many of us have had a chance to tour and visit that, and the opportunities there. Certainly the Sims Ranch house and properties as staging areas for visitors of all ages. One, to understand certainly the beauty and the diversity of the buffer lands, but obviously to understand the functionality of the plant, as Glenn said, sits right in the middle of those former ranches. And I think it really, I know that both Brian and Roger, certainly in their daily activities, are focused on a whole host of biological and ecological work, but honoring certainly the environmental diversity, but also I think the agricultural heritage of those areas that were acquired for, as Prabhakar outlined earlier, for the largest project on the West Coast, for the largest plant inland sewer treatment facility, I think in California, if I'm not mistaken, maybe even along the West Coast. To do that, and then I think to come around with the work that Brian and the leadership certainly of Roger in this district, to I think maintain the utility, but also I think highlight the importance of of the area, historically, but certainly with the settlement that occurred and certainly the farming and activities there. And I credit Brian and Roger and Glenn and Prabhakar and Christoph and a whole lot of folks over the years, and I think we truly have a not only a state-of-the-art facility, but we have a lot to be proud of with regards to how we highlight the diversity, the biological, ecological, and I think the heritage there of working ranches at the time that were acquired for the plant's location. So I wanted to note that because there's been another piece of the work, and I know I for one have bugged them a bit over the years about progress on some of those restoration efforts. But I think we can take great pride in the calendar, as you said, the Madam Chair really does highlight, I think, certainly the diversity and the wonder of the buffer lands. So.
It might actually be one of the jewels in your district, Don.
Oh, it is. Yeah, it is. I would agree with that.
Thank you, Supervisor Natoli. Thanks, Glenn. Thank you all. I really appreciate the recognition here today, but I also want to just take this opportunity to commend this board, present and past, for just decades of decisions that have supported the Sanitation District's commitment to environmental stewardship. I've been around a long time. I wasn't around when the original decision was made to take a conservation approach to the management of the land surrounding the wastewater treatment plant. But I have been around to help implement a number of projects and programs that this board has approved that has turned the bufferlands into a very important and renowned wildlife area in the region. So I think I first made a presentation in front of this board back in 1996. I recall working with past board members like Isla Collin, Roger Dickinson, and of course some familiar faces that are still serving our board today. I think Supervisor Natoli was probably the only one here for my presentation in 96. But
he was 8 back then. Because he got elected to the Galt City Council when he was 4.
No, I'm sure I got a few items in front of Director Howell and Director Bruins in the early 2000s, but I really want to thank all of the board and your predecessors. I don't appear in front of this board very often, but when I do, it always tends to be on a discussion or a topic that generates a lot of discussion, and so I've always appreciated your consideration and support over the years. Similarly, with our Regional San executive management, want to thank them for their role in shaping the Bufferlands program into what it is today. And also for just their really kind of kickstarting this whole conservation movement in our part of the valley. I think a lot of people don't recognize how important the work that we were doing on the bufferlands back in the early 90s, the habitat restoration work, the Upper Beach Lake project, just how influential that was in the decision to locate the 505th National Wildlife Refuge in the country, right in our backyard, right across the street from us. And there I'm giving us all credit for the Stone Lakes National Wildlife Refuge. If I went on further, I'd probably make a case for the Casumas Preserve in the Yolo Basin Wildlife Area. That's a little thinner tie. But I think back to folks like Bob Shanks, Wendell Keto, Mary Snyder, Stan Dean. I know Prabhakar had to leave, but he's probably one of our biggest and certainly tallest cheerleaders of the bufferlands. He's probably referred to the bufferlands as the crown jewel of the county, at least as often as Glenn has bragged about the treatment plant being number one at handling number two. But anyway, it's been a pleasure to work with them.
Is that going on the letterhead now? Is that the new logo?
But it's been a pleasure to work with all those folks through parts of their careers. If you'll indulge me for another minute, I just want to say I'm honored to be receiving this recognition alongside my coworker Roger Jones. As Glenn mentioned, Roger's been recognized for 25 years as well, though he's been with the district longer than that, starting as a student 30 years ago and working as a contractor for a couple years before becoming a county employee. But Roger just brings a wealth of experience and perspective to the job. He's got his career path to regional SAN has been, I think, more interesting than most. He grew up farming cotton in the Central Valley. He cowboyed on the Harris Ranch. He went and worked in the oil fields for a number of years, working heavy equipment. And then it was his passion and his talent for photography. He took that, opened a photomat and photography service. And only later in his career did he...
Who remembers Photomat?
Right? And Roger, by the way, is on the phone, so I'm sure I'll hear from him later. Yeah, it was only later in his career that he went back to school, went to UC Davis, furthered his degree, and became the biologist that he's well known as and respected as today. So Roger is the one that brought me on board to Regional SAN in the early 90s. And with Roger and our original Bufferlands manager, Roy Nelson, we put together an incredible team that's pretty well stayed intact for the last 25 years and just done some amazing stuff. So we're both proud to be part of that group and proud to be part of Regional SAN. And again, just thank you for the recognition here today.
Thank you very much to both of you.
Roger, want to say something?
Yeah, I just want to add a couple of quick comments. Prabhakar mentioned the tours, especially for new board members, but anyone who hasn't been out to the plant. Brian didn't offer right then, but I've had several tours over the years of the bufferlands, and they're fantastic. So if you have an opportunity to do that, that's like a real special treat.
That same friend that called me would give her right arm to go on one of those tours when that's possible.
So we will certainly be able to set those up when the time is right, and I encourage you to do that. And then also, if anyone has not received a Bufferlands calendar, like Director Howell said, let us know, and we'll make sure that we get you one. So, yeah.
Director Frost.
Christoph, I think it would be really fun for all the new board members to see the albino deer photo. I don't know if it's available to send out, but it's amazing.
Yes, that was a little bit of a news story for a little while. I think it was ultimately an unfortunate story in the end, but we do have the pictures.
And the story behind it, that's a pretty unusual circumstance to have a pure white albino deer, and it was running through the bufferlands, and there was two of them, I think. So it was. Got up on
I-5 though, and that didn't turn out so well.
So beautiful though.
We'll
my favorite was the little bobcat from a few years ago. I actually want the Bobcat, but
Did Roger want to say anything? If he's on the phone, certainly, I know he's a man of few words, but I don't know if he...
Roger, you'll have to speak up if you'd like to.
Roger, the other gentleman we were honoring, Roger and Brian, he's on the phone.
okay. Yeah.
Maybe a little bit of delay here.
Well, thank you very much to both of you, and thanks to everybody for making time to participate in the meeting today. And do we have any other comments or questions from board members, either here in the room or on the phone? Okay, seeing none, we are adjourned at 10:39.